Hello, and a very warm welcome to every single person who has come in here for this latest edition of the Predictive AI World Forum. Our apologies for a minor delay in the start time. We are trying to deal with a few technical issues since we are all bound to conference lines now. But it's a pleasure having you. And my name is Malay Upadhyay. I'll be your host today as we have an expert set of panelists guide us through how to survive today and thrive post corona, specifically by thinking about building momentum. What does that mean? In order to take us through this discussion and to facilitate the conversation, I would like to invite, without further ado, Ton Dobby, who is the author of The Remarkable Effect and hails from Value Inspiration, to come and give a quick introduction, bring in the panelists, and start off the discussion right away. Ton?
Thank you, Malay. It's a pleasure. And yeah, I mean, good news at the end is also I think we have solved the technical issues. So Mark Organ is available and can actually speak because I've unmuted him. So everybody, welcome. Yes, like Malay said, it's this session is about surviving today and thriving post-corona. And we have a fantastic panel here for you. To start with, the first one, Mark Organ. He's the founder and chairman of a company called Influitive, which is an ambassador community platform. Second on the list is Dr. Cindy Gordon, who is the CEO the CEO and founder of a company called SalesChoice. Third in the list is Sachin Dev Duggal, who is the CEO and co-founder of a company called Builder from the UK. And last but not least, Roland Hallebeek, who is like me, Dutch, as you can hear from my accent. CEO and co-founder of a company called Scotty. And Scotty is a platform that helps organizations to scale their voice, all incoming voice communication. Builder, by the way, is a company that allows organizations and people from around the world to effectively start and create and bring their ideas to life through software. SalesChoice is a company that automates and helps organizations sell more, get rid of the uncertainties around revenue forecasting, and allow salespeople to become way more effective and productive with regards to what they have on their target, of course. So the topic for today, before we start to go into the questions and into the panel discussion, we see, of course, that the last couple of weeks we've all been suffering worldwide from the virus, from the coronavirus, and what you've seen, of course, is an enormous avalanche of messaging that everybody started to provide and create in order to help, in order to get some attention. And what we've seen at the end is that with all that massive news, you could, of course, not open a website, not open the television and listen to a television program or anything on the radio without hearing the word. So we've sort of created a filter around us, built a massive wall around us, which has made us numb for all the news around this. And that, of course, provides a challenge with regards to how do you drive business. First of all, of course, because businesses are challenged. They are going. They have to close down. They have issues with customers, and that's why we wanted to do this webinar. Surviving today. That's the first part of the session today. But most importantly, of course, how do you thrive tomorrow? So going into the first question, and that's the question I actually want to raise to the audience, just to get you going and thinking a little bit. If you would use one word and look at your own company, if you look at that one word, how do you feel about the next 6 months and the outlook for your business? So if you can just put it into the chat, we'll come back to that later and start to mix that into the conversation. So while you're thinking about that one word about how you are feeling about the business for the next 6 months, Cindy, the first question to you. If you look at the last 9 weeks and you think about the word momentum, like the panel discussion is about that word today, what comes up and what have you done in your business and for your customers to keep that momentum or even grow that momentum?
Thanks, Ton, and to my colleagues on the line, and also to our welcome guests. Just glancing through the profiles, and it's really nice that we've got an international audience. And I think that's one really important point when it comes to momentum, that this is really a global phenomenon. So, Ton, when you shared the question, I actually stepped back and I thought I should actually make sure that we pause and define the word momentum. It actually has richer meaning. It really actually originates from physics and Newtonian mechanics. And I thought I'd just share this because I think it's helpful. Because when we usually think about momentum, we think about energy, we think about velocity, but it actually is more than that. It's actually about a very, very tight vector dynamic that gives you the magnitude and the velocity to actually achieve an outcome. And, so I think that, energy is positive, but you really have to have that sniper precision on a desired outcome and a focus. And obviously through that energy, it radiates more. So thought that might be helpful. In terms of
sure.
yeah, I know. In terms for how we're approaching COVID-19, obviously we're all very focused on our existing clients and more from the nurturing perspective. I think that, we've all learned that the importance of empathy and increased empathy in times like this, and that conversation actually drives a very different momentum. We've also been rethinking our platform in some new ways in light of COVID, in the sense of, just more coaching insights that are dynamically driven through the AI. It's just kind of forcing us to get sharper in new, I'd call it, end user experiences and modalities, and working with some of our larger clients on those messaging, because they need to get feedback out quickly to the field, but they also are recognizing that they just don't have the same amount of coaching time that maybe they used to. You might think they have more coaching time, but if anything, there's far more energy being put out into net new builds and retaining existing clients. I think we've also learned a lot about the need to net out comments. There is a very short attention span right now, and I know when you look at email marketing, we've known for some time a lot of those approaches are dead. So I think conversations like this are much more endearing, they're much more enriching, and they can create a community dynamic. So those are some of the things that that we're trying to drive that are net new, but I honestly think we're learning. I mean, if you look at the different economic forecasts, obviously there's a lot of industry dependencies. So obviously shifting into new segments is becoming a sharper reality. I mean, there's certain industries that are just, they're going to be flat for a long time.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's also something that came out of the webinar from last week. The sniper positioning, sniper segmentation, that is all very important. Well, I mean, to hand it over to Roland, CEO of a company called Scotty Technologies. Roland, if you compare your business now with 8 weeks ago, what strategic change did you make to keep and grow momentum?
Thank you, Ton, and hello everyone. Well, interesting. Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, we were kind of expecting what everybody was expecting. We didn't know exactly what to expect. Then it was very clear that if you look back now, where we are now, we're basically on COVID testosterone because everything has been discussed. We've been having these every morning, 30 minutes meetings to basically reiterate every day. Okay, guys, what is new today, and what do we need to do? So rising up to the occasion is basically what we did for ourselves. Rethinking purpose was also very important for us. Because was it the same as so pre-corona, corona, and post-corona? We found probably very different. And to what we did, and I'm happy we did that. I'm also proud that we did it because we got really awesome feedback, good learnings. We approached 3 of our not clients, but people we've been talking to for a long time, who said, well, we procrastinate basically what we've been trying to sell to them. But we said, okay, good, that we understand that, but can you please, can we have a meeting with you? And can you please explain how you see it? Why is it you're not buying now? There's a lot of reasons internally, of course, but how do you see us? How would you like to, what message would you like to give to us? That was very interesting because there were two very big companies and they gave us very valuable feedback on which we banked on, and we basically followed up on internally. So basically turbocharging our decision making, because these were things we were always thinking, yeah, maybe we should do this. Yes, we should do this. But and that is a good news, I think, over the past 8 weeks looking back, is apparently we can do a lot more, a lot quicker if we really want to and need to.
That's interesting, and it's specifically interesting to me that you say you've been approaching non-clients rather than clients.
Yeah.
To understand what has changed.
Yes.
So you're definitely going forward with a different approach to the market?
Yeah, the core of course stays the same. Technology is there, but the messaging, and clearly what was very clear is the good question we always get back is, of course, what problem are you solving? Well, that message is different because the problems that our potential clients are facing are different than they were facing 10 weeks ago. So we have to adjust not only our pitch but also our value proposition. Also rethink the value that we are. So rethinking the purpose, and also make sure that the choices we make are always guided by these change principles. Basically, is so yes, it kind of is changed. One of the things was, sure, so we are great for cost reduction. We said, yeah, but what is more important for us, for example, is the analysis you guys can do, your technology can do, is way more important that it can drive value. So if you can teach me how my clients are behaving and what we can learn from that, then we can adjust in our business. That is a much better discussion than just automating your phone calls, what you're doing, but also what do we learn? What can we learn from those conversations that you've done? And please feedback that to me. Then I'm even willing to pay you more.
So
there was
a different feature that you already had became sort of the lead in the way you go to market. Very interesting. Then I move to part number 2, which is winning their hearts. So why I'm bringing this up? I think Roland already picked up on the topic that certain things that you've been going to market with were important 10 weeks ago, and others have now become more important. So how do you win the heart of your customers? Through, for example, surprise, hitting the right nerve, and that's at the end a very important topic, because what I've seen from my own customers and from my own experiences in working with these organizations in the last 10 weeks is that the noise has been so heavy, like I said in the introduction, and the filters have gone up in order to keep us from actually to stay sane on the whole thing. So what makes me curious at the end, and that's a question to Sachin, since we had our podcast, because we had our podcast, I think it was about a year ago, in June or July 2019. I've really been impressed by your ability to surprise the market, to surprise customers with messages that hit the right nerve. So what's your secret here? How do you use this to your advantage?
So look, I think, Ton, there's a couple. First, thank you so much for having me on. So I guess one is, we're a company we're a little odd. So on one hand, we are extremely data centric. We can tell you that this target audience of customer who just filled in this form, said their budget is $6,000, but really their budget is $9,500. And so to a certain extent, our top of the funnel machine, and with our head of growth, who does an outstanding job, is really focused on understanding cause and causality. I think the second is the exact opposite, which is where we make a lot of decisions around product, what we think market wants, through intuition, and then we iterate through data. So I think when the two things come together, whether it's instant prototyping or what we just launched recently with Studio Store, where we've effectively said, why can't you have fully custom software for your e-commerce delivery or what have you? But instead of spending $50,000, why can't you get it for $500 a month? And I think some of this, since we spoke in June, we've had to wait until we'd finished building everything that we needed to build. But I think some of this is also, just having our team, I guess, has a very strong pulse on where we think a gap is. And we're happy to take the risk on intuition and then quickly iterate using the data that we get. So I don't think it's a secret sauce. I think it's we have a Jekyll and a Hyde inside every one of us.
That's an interesting one. And you use that data to provide the right message at the end to your audience, correct?
Yes, and it's everything from we will change landing pages, we will change form fields, we will change colors. We're now actually starting to have the product dial up and dial down depending on what our system thinks is sort of the tech savviness or what might be the regional want. So to give you an example, when we launched in the Middle East, it wasn't some elaborate strategy that we were going in. It came from just watching what was happening and starting to see there was a concentration, then doing a dipstick, and then I guess realizing that, well, intuitively that makes sense. The data is telling us it makes sense, and then I think the third part of the jigsaw is that we're very quick to double down and sort of we appreciate risk, but also at the same time let's fully understand that there are going to be calls that we're going to have to make where we need to dive in as fast as possible, otherwise we lose the opportunity.
Yeah, interesting approach here.